What if the only way to afford Bhutan is to leave Bhutan? For many Bhutanese, the question is becoming harder to ignore. Buying a home can feel decades away. Modest piece of land can cost the equivalent of decades of income. Has home ownership become something ordinary Bhutanese can no longer afford? Let's look at the numbers. 10 decimals of land, which is about 405 square meters, roughly the size of a modern house block. Now, here's the shocking part. In Thimphu, a capital city of Bhutan, if we take a current average land rate of which is around miltrum 1.35 million per decimal, a miltrum is Bhutanese currency, then 10 decimals of land would cost around miltrum 13.5 million. That is roughly around $207,000. And remember, this is only the land, not the house, not the construction, just the land. According to the World Bank Bhutan Development Update, Bhutanese workers with at least higher secondary education had a median monthly income of around 29,000 miltrum. At that income, owning just 405 square meters of land is equal to almost 39 years of gross income. Not savings, gross income before basic living cost. So this is why the housing problem in Thimphu is not only about high prices, it is about the gap between local income and local land prices becoming so wide that even people with stable jobs can struggle to buy a decent home. Bhutan is known around the world for happiness and its culture, but for many young Bhutanese, the question is becoming more uncomfortable. Can we still afford to build a future in Bhutan? Or is the only way to afford Bhutan is to leave Bhutan first? So today, let's look deeper into this. A typical CEO working in Bhutan earns around miltrum 83,000 per month before tax. So that is almost 3 times higher than the average monthly income. But even at a CEO level income, owning just 405 square meters of land is still equals to around 14 years of gross income. Again, not saving gross income, which is before all the expenses. And this is the real shock. The housing problem in Thimphu is not only about average workers being priced out. It is that even high-income professionals can struggle when land prices rise far beyond local wages. So when people say Thimphu's real estate market feels disconnected from reality, this is what they mean. The price of land is no longer moving with ordinary salaries. It is moving with scarcity, speculation, inheritance, business wealth, and increasingly money earned outside Bhutan. And when that happens, home ownership stops being a normal life goal. It becomes something you can reach only if you already have land, family wealth, business, income, or foreign savings. So how did Thimphu reach to this point? The answer is not one single reason. It is a combination of geography, migration, opportunity, scarcity, and speculation. For many Bhutanese families, moving to Thimphu is not just about lifestyle. It is about access to better schools, better hospitals, better jobs, networking, and better chance for the next generation. But the problem is that land in Thimphu is limited. The city sits in a valley surrounded by mountains. Unlike cities that can expand endlessly in every direction, Thimphu has physical limits. So when more people want to live in the same small area, the pressure on land increases. So this creates a simple but powerful economic problem. The demand keeps rising, but supply is limited. People buy land not only to build a home, but to protect wealth, to pass something to their children or to benefit from the future price increases. And that's where the speculation begins. When people believe land prices will keep rising, they are willing to pay more today because they expect it to be worth even more tomorrow. And when enough people think this way, prices can move further away from the local wages. For many Bhutanese, leaving the country is not only about chasing better lifestyle, it is also about catching up with a housing market that local income can no longer reach. If a salary in Bhutan makes home ownership feels decades away, the earning in Australia, the Middle East, Canada, or elsewhere can suddenly change the calculation. A person who may struggle to save in Bhutan could save much faster abroad, support family, repay loans, or eventually buy a land back home. But this creates a painful paradox. To build a future in Bhutan, many people feel they first have to leave Bhutan. So what can Bhutan do? There is no single solution, because the housing problem is not caused by one thing. It is a mix of low local wages, high land prices, limited urban land, rising construction cost, loans, speculation, and growing influence of money earned outside Bhutan. But one lesson is clear: building more houses alone is not enough if ordinary people still cannot afford them. Bhutan needs housing policies that focus not only on supply but also on affordability. That means asking who these homes are really being built for. Thimphu also needs smarter urban planning because the city cannot expand endlessly. So limited land has to be used more carefully through better density, public transport, livable satellite towns, and stronger development outside the capital. Affordable rental housing also matters because not every young Bhutanese families can buy land or an apartment immediately. And if rent consumes too much of their income, they cannot save either. And finally, Bhutan has to think seriously about speculations. Land is important for security and inheritance, but when land becomes mainly a place to park wealth, prices can move away from people who simply need a home. In the end, it is not just a story about land prices, apartment, or housing loans. It is a story about what kind of future Bhutan wants to build. A future where young people can study, work, marry, raise children, and still imagine a life inside our country. Or a future where the only realistic path to owning a home begins with living home first. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.